Hi, this is Captain Drew Cavanaugh of Florida Inshore Fishing Charters and Mosquito Lagoon Sight Fishing Charters, located here in East Central Florida in Oak Hill, Edgewater, New Smyrna Beach, Cocoa Beach, Daytona, just east of Orlando. And today I'm going to do the next video in line with the Yamaha maintenance. This is my Yamaha 2007 Yamaha F50 TLR 4-stroke engine on my Ranger Banshee Extreme, the boat I used to guide with. And the last video that I did, I showed you how to do the complete maintenance: the oil filter, the spark plugs, the fuel filter, the water fuel separator, change the anodes, all that good stuff, lower unit fluid, all that. And today what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to do the water pump, the impeller inside. We're going to remove the lower unit here, and it's real easy to do. There's no sense. I think the last time I paid somebody to do this years ago, to do everything, it was like $600, and I'm like, I watched him do it and I was like, wait a minute, why am I paying somebody this kind of money to do this? So what we're going to do is there's a few bolts that you got to remove. You don't want to remove them all because you don't want this thing falling down. Just be there. If you got 2 people to do it, the best bet is to do 2 people, and it'll work a lot easier. So first thing that we're going to do is there's a bolt right in here that needs to come out. And that, if I'm not mistaken, is a 12mm. And I loosened that up a little bit. So we'll remove this bolt. And this bolt right here just holds the anode in, basically, but it has to come out. If I'm not mistaken there. And the weird part about getting that bolt out is, of course, gravity works. So what I do is just loosen it up. Just pull that bad boy out like that. We'll set that to the side. The anode that we replaced just a couple months ago, doing the job. Okay. Now the next key is down here on the bottom is your trim tab anode. What I did is, let me see. Okay, what I did is I took it and I made a little black mark on here. Right up here. I don't know if the light's good enough to see it. This way I could mark exactly where it's at. So when I put it back on, we're going to undo that bolt, these bolts right here, and then we'll go from there. So all these bolts, these 4 right here, these 4 bolts are 14mm. So I'm going to pause this for a minute. I'll loosen them all up and I'll take all of them out but one. I want to leave one in so that the lower unit doesn't fall down. Okay, I got all the bolts loosened. I left one in here over here on this side. I just wanted to show you, after we remove the trim tab right here, basically there's going to be a longer bolt that's underneath there. Don't forget to remove that, because you just remove all these 4, you'll be struggling with it forever. It'll never come off. So that's that long one. So that one will go back in first, then the trim tab, then these 4, then this one, and you're good to go. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to take out this last bolt. You can start to see it separate right here, which is fine. Then I'm all undone. You're going to have some linkage back here you got to undo. So let's set these down right here. And just want to make sure you get a good grip on it. I removed my prop earlier so that it's just easier to do. I had to inspect it anyhow. So what we're going to do, I'm going to take out this last bolt. I got a good grip on the lower unit here so it doesn't fall out. Set that right there. And it should just come right out pretty easy like. Okay, I've gotten all the bolts out. You didn't want to forget that there's a long one underneath the trim tab here. I disconnected all the linkage down here, the hoses and all that. They just pop apart. And now I got a good grip on it. I just took out the last bolt that was holding it in. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lower it down. It's in neutral. Just leave it in neutral. It's got a splined head, so it'll go back together easily. So what we're going to do is it'll come right out. And let's go in there to the workbench, and we'll get this water pump replaced in no time. Okay, we've gotten the foot off. What I did earlier also, it's been 90 days since I did that last maintenance, and since I'm a fishing guide and I use the boat on a regular basis, what I did, I've been in the habit that every 90 days regardless, I do preventive maintenance. I change the oil, the plugs, the fuel filter, the water fuel separator, everything. In my mind, it's worth the $85, $90 in gold to me, instead of I'm on the water every day, a lot of days, guiding, running the boat. So what does it hurt? I've had the Yamaha mechanics tell me, you know, it doesn't. It if anything, it helps it. It just will improve the lifetime of it. So what I did is I've already done all the basic maintenance on it. And since the last video that I did, I was not able to do the impeller here. I'm going to do it right here. So I've got it off, and what I did is I've made a makeshift little table. I've just taken a table that I've had and little patio furniture and screwed a piece of plywood to it. And underneath the furniture down here, I put in some 50-pound bags of cat litter, just resting on the legs of it so that I can put this in there like this. Just a couple pieces of board screwed in, and make a little makeshift table for you to work with, so you're not, you know, so you're just not laying it on the side and all that good stuff. So I'm going to get in here. The first thing we're going to do is, the first thing that you want to take note, actually I digress here. If you want to do this yourself, your best bet is, if you're not sure when you take things out how they go back together, honestly, set you up a video camera and record you doing it. That way, if you, when you go to put it back together, if you can't remember something, go back and watch the video. Just a simple solution with anything in life that you do. So what we're going to do here is, the first thing that you want to notice is the new impeller here is like a rubber. There's a little woodruff key that's going to be in there. There's a little slot right here. Little slot right here. Sorry, it's hard to look at the camera. Let me turn this lens here this way here. There we go. Little woodruff key. It'll only allow you to go on one way, but what you're going to take notice is these are rubber. These are meant to be bent. So when you go to put this back on, you're going to want to kind of shape it into the shape that it needs to be. And the way that you can tell that is if you grab the shaft, and if you try to spin it, it should pretty much only spin one way, like that. So, with that said, you go to spin it this way, that tells me that if that's spinning this direction, all these little prongs are going to be bent that way. So when I go to put this plate back, or the housing back on there, I'm going to kind of rotate it a little bit as I do it. So the first thing let's do is let's remove all these bolts right here, these 4 bolts. And if I'm not mistaken, they're 12 millimeter. So what I'll do is I'm going to pause the camera for a minute. I'm going to remove those 4 bolts and be right back with you. Okay, we've got all the screws out, the bolts out. I'm going to replace everything. I bought the water pump kit instead of just the impeller. I bought the whole kit. So it comes with new bolts and everything. The one thing that you're going to want to do is take a little bit of the Yamaha grease right there and grease everything. So let's remove this, and the way we're going to do it, we'll just I popped it up with a screwdriver in there. We'll just lift that up, pull that right off there. We'll inspect everything. Actually, it looks pretty good, the housing. The impeller looks really good. See what I said earlier, how it's curved? You know, the new one's going to want to be like that too. So what we'll do is just pop that baby off of there. Just use a little screwdriver there to kind of pry it up. There we go. Just comes right up there. Okay. Perfect. Trash bag down there. And there's the little woodruff key that came out. Right down here in the shaft is going to be a little woodruff key. That's just going to go in there, and that's how the impeller locks into place. So as you're taking this apart for the first time, take your time, you know, look at each piece, see what's going on and so forth. I'll set that right there. Take off the stainless steel wear plate here. And I'll just take a good look at it. There's the gasket on the back. Got a new gasket down here we'll replace. So on and so forth. You know, all these parts, you know, that are in here come in this kit. The O-rings, everything. So just as you take it apart, you just replace everything. Actually, everything looks pretty good. And it's been a year since I did this. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a steel brush here. We're going to kind of clean it up a little bit. Just kind of get the corrosion off. I use a Salt Terminator corrosion block, you know, so on and so forth. Just kind of get that all cleaned up into there. Looks pretty good, actually. Okay. We're going to take this cup, and there's the O-ring. There's the ring right there, sorry. There's the ring right there. I'm going to pop that out, replace that. Here in a second, we'll take that out. So let me get everything out of here and get it all cleaned up. You know, you can't hurt this. You can scrub it down. I mean, it's got salt running through it for you know, and sand and grime and all that kind of stuff. So I'm just going to shut the camera off for a minute. I'm going to scrub this up, clean it up. I'm going to take the cup out, the O-ring out, all the gaskets and everything, and I'll just replace all the parts, and I'll get right back with you. Okay, so I've got everything, you know, pretty cleaned up. I mean, you can only do so much to it. All the pieces that come in this kit are pretty self-explanatory where they go and everything. I mean, everything's going to go inside of here and right in here. All these parts, don't worry, nothing's going to go out there. So as you're going through these parts, you'll see where they go together at. Just take one off, clean it up, put one in together. We're going to take the cup, the bowl right here, and that slides in like that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of grease on the outside of it right here. Not much, just a little thin coating, help it get in there. You know, just a little thin coating on the inside. And this will help it when it's on startup for the impeller not to burn itself out or whatever. This is real easy to figure out. There's a little groove right down in there. Right down in there that little notch right there goes into. So just kind of slide that down into there, and it will slide relatively easy. There we go. Nope, perfect. Just slides right into there like that. Now the next thing that's going to go in there is my O-ring, or the ring that we took out right there. So I'm just going to take that, I'll put that into there. Just kind of maybe just a dab, a little bit more grease on the inside there. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take this plate, the wear plate right there. Pretty self-explanatory, this gasket. So it's going to go down like this. Alright. Goes right over the little notch there. You can see them. I'm just going to take a little bit of grease. Grease up both sides of this. You know, it'll all wash off eventually anyhow. Just put some grease on there like that. I'm using the Yamaha grease. I'm a big fan of Yamaha. When I do this, I buy all Yamaha stuff. You don't necessarily have to, but you know, again, the proof's in the pudding. So that slides down onto there. There's a notch there. Get it upside down. There we go. That little notch there, that notch there, that's how it lines up. You can tell it goes back on there perfectly. So now the next thing that we're going to want to do is I'm going to break this new little key out that came right here in the kit. Cut it out of there. Okay. Fingers are slippery there. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a little bit of grease and put it on there. The grease will act like a glue almost, you know, a little bit of sticky. And it goes right into there. Okay, so now what we're going to do, I got the new Woodruff key in there. There's a little notch on it. We slid it down onto there. Now remember earlier the way the blades were bent a little bit, and here's what I do. They need to come back this way some, right? Curve this way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the housing here. I'm going to slide it down like this. And as I slide it and I get it onto there, I'm going to just kind of twist this. I'm going to twist it like this. And grab the shaft here. There we go. Oh. And there you go. you could see them. I could look underneath there, like right now, and I could see that they're curved. So that's perfect. Make sure it turns all right. There we go. Now what we're gonna do is let's replace all 4 of the bolts. You know, just hand tighten, torque them down. I'm not sure what the Yamaha specs are on the torque. You know, just get them in there. So let's make sure everything's into place. Yep. Got that, all that good stuff. Make sure you grease all your bolts up. Your new bolts that you're going to use over here. Grease all the new bolts that came in it. So let me put these back in here and we'll go from there. Okay, we got everything all greased up. I got the unit right down here on the floor. It should theoretically slide up into there pretty easy like. Just make sure you hook everything up okay. The speedometer cable just goes right through there. It's still in neutral. What we'll do, just put that bad boy like that. And it's definitely easier if you've got 2 people to do this. Makes it a lot easier. Just make sure everything goes in there. I can see. There we go. Oop, I missed it. Let's see here. Come on now. Okay. There we go. Okay, perfect. All I do is I got a bolt right here ready. That bad boy right in there. Everything looked like it was fitting together. You just want to make sure that the 2 tubes that are in there, the shaft, the shaft tube and the shifter threads go right into the 2 tubes. And just if your speedometer cable's hooked up, just that's fine, just hook it back. Okay, so I got the 1 bolt in there. Let me get back down here, just enough to hold it. If you can, try to do it with 2 people. So then after we get all the 5 bolts back in there, don't forget the one here. Put the anodes back in. I'll put the prop back on. What we'll do is we'll start it up and we'll check the water pressure, let it run for 5, 10, 15 minutes, and just make sure everything's working all right. Okay, we've got everything hooked back up. When you did this, don't forget to put all the anodes back in, grease all the bolts. Just make sure all the linkage and everything goes back together. Like I said, if you need to, videotape it. That way if you're stuck up or, you know, caught up on a speed bump somewhere, you're not sure what to do, go back and look at how you took something apart and just watch the video. That'll work. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to crank the engine and let's make sure that we got water pressure and it's running all right. I'm going to let it run probably 10-15 minutes and we'll come back and check it. So let's crank it up here. So far so good. So I'm going to come back in about 5-10 minutes and we'll check it out and we'll go from there. Okay, this bad boy's been running for about 10-15 minutes here. I've checked the pressure, water pressure is right at about 20 idling, 17-18 idling. I fast idle it, it gets up to 25-30. I think Yamaha, the mechanics told me as long as it's above 10, it's perfect. Mine's always been, you know, 15, 20, 25. I can feel the warm water at the bottom of the prop. I've got both ports hooked up as I always do. Good water pressure. I checked my oil, checked my spark plugs. I put it in gear, make sure it's in gear runs. And there's the complete maintenance again. Like I said, this is a good way to save a lot of money. I know the marine mechanics around here are about 100, 110 an hour. The mobile ones are 150 an hour. And you know what? If I can do this, so can you. That's basically it. Like I said, just take your time, do a little bit of research. You can watch my videos, they'll help you out. If you got any questions, feel free to contact me. Again, it's Captain Drew Cavanaugh, and I want everybody to have a great day. Thank you.